Welcome to the Lit Up Instagram show. It's my Instagram live show bringing you fun and soulful interviews with spiritual teachers with the aim of tuning you in and lighting you up. And I have the best person to light us up today. Lisa Lister is the author. Let me read something that I wrote about you, Lisa. Lisa Lister is the Hay House author of Witch and Love Your Lady Landscape. She's a writer, women's wellness practitioner, and third-generation witch, healer, tarot reader, and intuitive. Lisa is dedicated to healing the wounds of the feminine, to retelling her story, and to helping women rediscover their magic. Lisa, I am so excited you're here with me right now. I have my mermaid Barbie here.
Yes! Yes, that's all I've come for, George. We can talk about a book anytime. I'm all about this mermaid situation. This is what everyone is here for, let me tell you. Let me tell you.
I mean, we can't meet virtually or physically without a mermaid being involved, can we?
Never. Never. So do we have to wait till the end? Do I have to do an interview first, or do we have to talk before you perform?
It's just a token for good luck for me. So let's get this party started with a.
But you will sing for us, right?
Well, maybe at some point in the end,
Sure.
after we cover stuff. Okay, so I want to start with an easy question, Lisa. The word witch is a loaded word. It's been mistranslated by the media over the years. It's been used to mean something negative, something evil even. So my question to you is, what does being a witch really means?
Well, I think for each of us, it means many different things. So I wouldn't want to say like, it means this. For me as a woman this lifetime, who has been a witch in many, many past lives, it means a woman in her power. And now when I talk about that, I'm not saying that men can't be witches, that, you know, that we haven't got, you know, I'm not taking away any of that. All I am saying when I speak of witch, I am speaking about a woman who knows herself, who is taking back the pieces, because for me, like you say, it's been demonized. Like the word witch has been is the demonized part of every woman that has been silenced, that has been censored, that has been burned this lifetime, past lifetimes, right? So this is for me the taking it back, the reclamation of, do you know what, you want to use a word against me? Because the thing is, like, the word witch really was used as a derogatory term then too, right? So we look back and we, you know, and I love that so many beautiful people on Instagram like take the word and really love on it, but it was used as a derogatory term towards us then too. You know, it's like we were wise women, we were women who were trusting our intuition, who were trusting our true nature, like our connectivity to the seasons, to the moon. And so then, you know, during those witch hunts, there was these people who, you know, who were not okay with that. I mean, and that is an understatement. Who were not okay with that. So use the word witch to kind of vilify us, to vilify anybody, in fact, like whether that's the gypsy community, whether that's the gay community, whether that's, you know, of that time. These people were all put, you know, were all kind of called this overarching witch, and burned, were drowned, were tortured for that. So this lifetime, we get to take that back. We have to take it back. Them the rules. Them the rules.
Yeah, I remember when the book first came out, Lisa, and I started reading it. You mentioned in the book that I wrote this book for women, and which is a woman in her power. But I didn't feel it wasn't for men in a way, because why? And I sent you a message after reading the book, telling you that although you wrote this book for women, it wasn't me reading the book. It was the witches I've been, the witches that I've been who have been hunted for years, were reading this book and healing through me. Because I've been talking to spiritual people and light workers for so many years, and the common thread in every single conversation I have, like almost always, is that We've all been witches that have been burnt on the stake in a previous lifetime. So we carry this wound right now, whether we're men, whether we're women, whether we're straight, whether we're gay. We have that wound that's manifesting in different ways, in my perspective, as abusing masculine energy in the sense of exhausting myself by working too hard. It's still eating away on us. So my question is, how do we start healing the witch hunt wound that we all carry, whether we're men or women?
And it's so beautiful. Firstly, it's beautiful that you say that too, because I think it's so important that we all recognize that patriarchy has done a job on all of us, right? It's really done a job on all of us. And so when I speak to women specifically because of my own experience this lifetime. So, but what, you know, that doesn't take away from how important it is that we are all having to this lifetime unravel that teachings, the teachings that come, that we're given, that we are being gifted, being alive right now. And so instead of looking to the wound, I don't know, we know, right, that the wound is where the light comes in. We know that. So actually it's our job now to recognize each other, because first of all, we are, like, that is the biggest part. They try to separate us all. They try to stop us all from talking to each other, from sharing our wisdom, from sharing our knowledge, which is why there's still so much competition, so much comparison, you know, and that stops us from remembering who we are. And that really is like the work of the witch this lifetime, is to come into a place of fierce remembrance of what it is to be whole, of what it is to be all of your parts, like all of the bits, the shitty bits, the horrible bits, like the bits that you're embarrassed of, the bits that, like, you've been blamed and shamed for, because all of us are carrying that too. And to witness all of those parts, to recognize them, to be with them, to not run from them, to not disconnect from them, because that's, you know, that's what so many of us do, is we get in a place where we think, oh, I'm feeling too many feelings, I'm feeling too much, I'm feeling it all, like, oh, I'm gonna have to disconnect, I'll go eat some pies, or I'll go eat some donuts, or I'll go eat some chocolate. That's me, people. Or like, oh, I'm just gonna tune out, or I'm gonna watch TV, or I'm not gonna be with what I'm feeling. And if we can stay with those feelings and not
suppress them,
disconnect, like, I'm in them and be like, do you know what, that's fine, as well as recognizing all the ways in which this lifetime we're bloody blessed. Like, we are so blessed that we get to be on an internet show where we're talking about witches and not get burned, right? Where we get to have this conversation where you get to say the term light workers and people aren't gonna like be like, what? You know, this is glorious time. I mean, it's interesting, it's glorious, it's crazy, it's all of the polarities for a reason. And so our work in it is first to witness all the places where we have been dismembered. You know, I say in the book, and it's very much about a remembrance, because we're remembering the parts, like remembering all the parts that have been dismembered, like, of the goddess. Like, everywhere the goddess has been dismembered, pulled apart, pushed underground. Our job this lifetime, as her PR people, is to really start calling those parts back, reclaiming them, owning them. Like, I see you, Shane. Like, I see all the places I fucked up, and I own them. I take full responsibility for them. They're mine. And I'm still an awesome freaking human being. Like that. And so I think that's how we start to heal, when we stop putting blame and shame and comparing and comparison with each other, and we start to really recognize all our parts, and we can start to have like fierce compassion, like open these big beautiful hearts for ourselves, then for each other, then for the collective, then for the planet, then for the cosmos, and then like we just this big, we're this expansive, and then like that darkness, it has very little place to hang out within you. It has very little place to reside within this space.
So really allowing ourselves to feel our emotions deeply because they have been suppressed for so many lifetimes. And speaking of polarity, you've talked about polarity. There is this rise of the divine feminine that has been going on for years, and you talk about it deeply in the book. And we've done a lot of work as a spiritual community to try to reverse what patriarchy has done in the world, the abuse of masculine energy, and really allow the feminine to take its rightful seat next to the divine masculine. Now, my question is the future female? Is the future balanced? Or is it the same thing, the two phrases? What is the future?
No big deal, George. No big deal. Just a little question. Just a little tiny question. I like how you just keep it nice and simple.
Just keeping it light.
I think, no, I don't think the future is female. That doesn't serve. Like, if it's just like the complete opposite of what it's been, that's not going to serve either. I think the future is not rushing ahead, right? So what's happening is people are going, oh, so this is what it was like with the math. I'm not sure about that right now. Let's go full beam into the feminine. And then we want balance. But we want all that really quickly, if you can, because like we can see that it's balance that we want, but we're just gonna, but then what we do then is we like override this, like Kimberly's just said there, the future is union. Absolutely. But what I'm even saying now is that when I talk about this, people get like really anxious because they go like, no, it's about balance, Lisa. Like it's like, we have to, it's taken 3,000 years plus for patriarchy to kind of get its like settlements around about, right? So it can't be just like, oh, the divine feminine's waking up, perfect. All right, so we've given her like, I don't know, maybe 20 years, 40 years now, 50, roughly. Like, okay, cool. So why have we not got this shit figured out? Like, it's like, no, this is like lifetimes of unpicking. Like, if you're thinking it's all about this lifetime, people, you're mistaken, right? We're here to do big work. So this part that we're here for right now is to unravel. Like, so it's why we have to be like aware of everything that's going on, so we can unpick it all. So we can go into the feminine. So we witness, like we can really dive into it and experience it. Has MCP 83? Yes, process. Oh my goodness, this is it. It is process, and we are in it. And this is why it's such exciting times, interesting times, annoying times, really pissed off times, really incredible, glorious times, because we are able, as what you call light workers, as witches, credible human beings this lifetime, to dive in and really explore what needs to be brought back, to do the reclamation, to pull back the parts, to really start to see like, oh, that's out of whack. All right, okay, we'll figure this out. Oh, this is out of whack. All right, we'll figure this out. Then, and I don't think it's going to be in my lifetime for sure, like that, we'll get to a place where that feels comfy enough for us then to work out, like, how can this be? Like, how can we be in union? Like, how can that be? I mean, that's not my work. I know that's not my work right now. I'm here to do the unraveling. Like, is the future female? I don't think so. I think the future is like union. Like, I agree with Kimberly. I think it is union, but I don't think it's yet. I think if we rush, we bypass. And I don't want any of that reclamation process to be bypassed in any way, shape or form, because then that just defeats the whole object of what's going on here.
I love that. It gives you perspective on, it's been 3,000 years building on patriarchy, and then all of a sudden, as you just said, we can't just instantly replace it with a balanced world. There has to be this process of, as I said, unraveling and then building the feminine until it takes the seat next to the masculine. Now, let me go into something lighter. Now, in the book, you talk about the 5 aspects of the witch, which are the force of nature, the creatrix, the healer, the oracle, and the sorceress. And I love that you've separated, or you've given these aspects, because it allows people the opportunity to get a little bit more practical with practicing witchcraft and understanding themselves as women in their power, but also finding their preference as to what kind of witch they want to be. Could you run us through the 5 different aspects and just quickly let us know what each one is about?
You're so funny. Yes, I can. And I did this because I'm also aware that she, the great mother, all that is, the divine feminine, has like a trillion different aspects. Like, so for me to try and say like, here's 5, was just purely an entry point for women specifically, to kind of go, right, okay, because we have all of these elements. That's why, you know, being a woman, the feminine is contrary. It's why it's so, like, because there's so many different elements to us. Like, so in any given moment, we can be whoever and whatever we, you know, we're feeling in that moment. So the 5 archetypes that I chose to work with are so yeah, the force of nature. So that's
force
really
of nature.
Yes, yeah, you're gonna have to head me up, because you know that it does not stay in here. So force of nature is all about connecting with the elements and recognizing that all those elements are within our bodies, and we have access to them. So the fire, the air that we breathe, and that's our breath, and you know, the water that makes up our body, and the real material, you know, the meat suit that we're in, that earth, and then that ether, that spiritual nature of ours. And then it's working with those. Now, anybody reading that book can take that and be like, that's the kind of work that I do. Like, that's what I do here. That's what I'm here to do this time. Or it can be that you just incorporate all of those elements in any kind of spell work, craft work that you do. Or it can be just paying attention when you look at the window each day to what the weather's doing, because your body, you know, I'm Rich very much, the Viking very much says, like, I'm a weather witch. Like, this body feels the weather. Like, that's the force of nature in me. So if there's a wind coming, if there's a storm coming, there's a storm in this one too. You know, so it's like, and if there's a, you know, fire raging, then there's a fire. If there's a fire raging in this one, there's a chance that that will be reflected in the. So it can be many different parts, and it could be like a path, you know, so you can look, or you can look at them as simple touch points, you know, that throughout the day. And so next we have the oracle,
The creatrix.
Oh, the creatrix. Thank you, George. And so I did it like a pentagram. So it's like the 5-pointed stuff. So yeah, the creatrix is, as women, we have incredible medicine bowls, right? So those medicine bowls are the space of creation. You know, when and I believe, and this is a very personal preference, but like, I believe that medicine bowl is the Holy Grail. So when we're in search of the Holy Grail, we're looking for this beautiful medicine bowl that's already held within us, that has the capacity to create universes. It has the capacity to create actual life on Earth. It has the capacity to just create like a book, a project, an Instagram post, like anything, like from as, you know, from as minute as that to as big as whole entire universes. That's our capacity as a woman. And we have, and so, you know, when men read this, when men accept and honor and revere that energy in us, we are so much more able to then be creative and own our creativity too. Men to tell us to do that, I get it, but also it's very lovely. And I mean, that's, you know, that's one of the many reasons I adore you, is because you have such reverence for the feminine, and I love you for that. So it's understanding the feminine as creatrix, and so that can be also possible in the to recognize this creative force. She is a creative force. So then, what's next, George? Tell me.
We have the healer.
The healer, yes. And so the healer is the one. So this is the one. This, like, when people tell me they can't heal, or that's not what they do, or any of those sort of things, it's like, we are made to heal. Like, it's all remembrance. It's remembering that it's in our bones. It's like in our DNA. It's really in us. And so if we can remember that we are creatrixes, but we are also these healers, and we are able to heal. Like, I talk a lot about periods and about menstrual cycles. And a big part of that is because when we recognize how to use that cyclic energy as a healing mechanism for ourselves, like, so many people would come to bleeding women and they would be like, going to, like, we need you to heal us. So them when they bled, they would be releasing on behalf of their community. These tribes, like, so in tribes, these women would, when they were bleeding, were releasing, and all of this incredible, like, so the people would go to them with their problems, and as they bled, those problems would be released. And like, and so, some of us are doing that on a planetary level right now. There are so many women, like, dotted around the matrix that are like doing that on behalf of all of us. So, it's pretty incredible. So, not just because you bleed, you'll notice you are intrinsically called to healing, that you will want to work with herbs, with oils, that you'll want to put those combinations together. And of course, there's a trillion different ways of doing that. And I share some in the book, but like, there's nothing like go out and pick things and smell them and feel that for yourself. And I think so much of what I share in the book about working with these archetypes and learning to trust each one within your body. Like, you don't need me, you don't need me to write it in a book. I mean, if you want to read it, thanks. But ultimately, it's really trusting yourself to be that creatrix, to be that oracle, to be all of these archetypes, to be honest. So the next one, oracle, George.
The next one is the oracle, yes.
Yes. So oracle is seer. Like, it's when, so that, the oracle of Delphi, she told us to know thyself. So I always say start there. Seer is someone that can see. And I mean, like, see with these three eyes that we've got, see it all. Like, so see the whole perspective and hear everything. So not just the words that you're spoken, but like to hear, like, the spaces in between, and like what's being whispered in between the words. And of course it's tarot, it's water scrying. It's like all of the things that are glorious and fun to do. But remember that they're all tools. What you have the ability to do as a witch, as a woman, a person, somebody who's connected to the divine feminine, is to just be really still with yourself, to choose that space, and then to really feel like what is being said to you. So I use my third eye and I use my womb space as my oracle, first and foremost. Yes, I have oracle cards. Yes, yes, I use tarot. Yes, my husband uses runes. Like, we got a lot of divination going on in this house. But ultimately, you can trust this body. You can trust the feels. Like, again, like I was saying earlier, if you don't disconnect from your body, if you allow yourself to feel, and then you start to trust those feelings as not only like, oh, that is that for me? Like, oh, like there'll be people that you will be connected with here, George, I'm sure, who are like empathetic, how can I say it? Empathetic. So they're able to feel other people. And so it's like, it really is like spiritual hygiene, learning all of these things to really be in your body, but also to protect yourself as that oracle, as that healer. And that's when they all start to intermingle, because then you start to realize that, oh, as a healer, I have to heal myself first. And when I heal myself, I'm healing womankind. When I'm healing womankind, I'm healing like my community. And when I'm healing my community, I'm healing the planet. But unless you're looking after this one, unless you are giving yourself regular light baths, you know, between clients, regular light baths between being out there. I know that when I go out there, I live in Glastonbury, so it's a little bit different. But like when I go outside, you know, I zip up. Like I energetically zip up. I energetically give myself a light bath, and I'm, you know, I protect myself. Like, you know, otherwise this heart's so big, like there'd be all sorts of little hooks going on. And so you have to protect yourself, because if you can see and you open up to seeing, if you open up like to be able to see, experience it all in this world and in other dimensions as well, like you're busy, and like there's a lot of noise. So you have to, yeah, protect yourself. Which brings me to the Sorceress. Now I remember that one because she's my favorite. And she's my favorite because she's the hardest work. Like and so many women who have written to me about this book are like, oh my God, this was, I'm like, I know. And the reason I haven't written about her much as the other archetypes is because I'm really still embodying her. Like I'm really still exploring her, because I think if we can, like she is the real deal. Like, so the Sorceress is the woman who really is in her power. Like I feel like when I talk about a woman in her power, when I say witch, I'm talking about the woman who is exploring that, who is like unraveling that and picking that and navigating that. Like the Sorceress, I feel like she's got her shit together. Like I feel like she is really someone who knows the dark, who knows how to connect directly to source, because she is source. So she's like, I can get there real quick. Like I can, you know, I can do this, and then she and I are going to work together, and we're just going to be transmitting, we're going to be writing, we're going to be showing up, we're going to be owning all our pieces, we're going to be doing all the things. Yeah, which is so glorious if possible.
Wow.
But I think like that is the real work. Like that's the bit that we're all being called to show up for. So I think like the book, you know, the hashtag for the book was Wake the Witches, but I think the Sorceress is the becoming, to be honest.
The end of the journey, or the continuation of or the beginning of a new journey, basically.
I think
what
so,
I'm hearing
yeah.
is that we are all the tools we need, and being a witch is recognizing that we are the tool of healing, we are the tool of sorcery, we are the tool of the oracle, and just the other tools that we use in our lives, the physical tools and the herbs and everything else, is just complementary to what we already know, to what our connection to the earth allows us to be naturally. Okay, so my final question to you brings everything together in a way, and creates some practical ways for people to connect to their inner witch. How do we align our energy with the cycles of the earth and the moon in this urbanized world that we live in? I remember living in London and just holding on to that lunch break where I could go to Hyde Park and meditate there. And partly the reason that I moved to Cyprus is so that I could be closer to nature, because I felt so depleted just being in a big megacity. So in a world where we're constantly distracted with our phones, with people wanting our attention, with so many responsibilities, with so much information that we're being bombarded all the times, how do we still connect to the earth and the moon? What are some practical ways?
Well, you know, practicalities are not my thing. Like, and you would be able to answer this way better than me. But it's difficult, and that's, you know, that's part of the disconnecting that has happened to us, that has been put upon us. So just the recognition first of all the places where you have been disconnected from source, like where you are disconnected from source. So you see the electricity is, you know, we're not, so it's much harder for us to connect in if the light is provided for us, for example. Now I know if I work with the moon cycle, then I am able, like I feel her in my body. So if I work with those moon cycles, I know her in here. So I know my body will tell me this full moon. You know, I don't need to worry about that. And that would be the same for everyone. That would be the same for men. That would be the same for women. Once you start to pinpoint that, I use an app on my phone as well. Like, don't be afraid of these apps. These are good. Like these, you know, you don't have to rely on them. Like what we were saying, our tools are in us. But there's some really cool tools. Like just because I can divinate with my womb, I'm not going to not use tarot cards, right? So in the same way, like just because I can, you know, I can feel what phase the moon is in because I've worked with her for a long time. Then it says I've frozen again. Am I still frozen?
Don't worry. Sometimes it happens. I think it's an Instagram glitch, just like before with the sound. So let's just go with it. Okay. We can hear you perfectly.
Perfect. You don't need to see. You don't need to see this little situation I've got going on. Yeah. So so use apps like I use Iluna, and the same for my menstrual cycle as well. Like so you can get apps that show you the moon and your menstrual cycle, so you can start, you know, syncing those up. And that's for me is not syncing them up like so that you bleed at certain times. I'm not into that. I really not either. So if a lot of people think they have to, you know, if you're a woman and you bleed and you think that you need to bleed at certain times, that's not true. Like you will bleed when absolutely you should. That's fine. And let that phase tell you about yourself. Don't think, oh, I'm not bleeding at the dark moon, so that means that I'm wrong. We need no more sticks to pick up and beat ourselves with. So we put them back down. And we make sure we just pay attention to all the things as they happen, because they will be happening for exactly that reason. And that's how, for me, I stay in connection with my cyclic nature, is just witnessing all the places where, like, these things continue to come up. And it's like, oh, that's cyclic. So when you just pay attention to the seasons, like I work with the Wheel of the Year as well. So there's like 8 celebration excuse to celebrate, right? So ways in which we can work with the seasons, and these are the Sabbats. And so we just had an autumn equinox, and it just provides a marker. Like, so if I know that that's the autumn equinox, I can just do it about myself and be like, all right, so that's a little bit of time where I have to come into connection with myself, recalibrate where things might have got out of whack, be able to just pull myself back in, realign, and then go forward into the next phase, because that's what they're set up for. They're really set up for that. Yeah. So I just think paying attention, again, like there's nothing big that we need to do. Like there really isn't. Like, but really beautiful ways to connect. Like at full moons, like put out so that you can keep, so that the full moon is charged the water, so that you can then sip the water throughout the whole cycle, so that your moon, like your lunar charged, which is like a lovely thing I share in the book. I love like the simple things, you know, charging your crystals so that you can then use the crystals from the full moon through to the next cycle, so that you can use the energy that the moon provides. And you don't have to see her to know that she's doing her work. If she's doing her work regardless, that's, you know, she's behind a cloud, if you're in a house that hasn't got a window that sees the moon, like all of these things, like just know she's doing her stuff. And the more you tune into her, she will show up in your form. That's for sure.
I love that. So intention is really more powerful than even if we don't have the chance of going outside. Simply our attention to connecting with the moon allows us to do that, which is a powerful thing to remember in this technological world that we all live in. Lisa, thank you so much for sharing this space with me. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. I love the book. I've read it twice, and I'll keep reading it. It helps my inner witch heal from those past lives, as well as in this present lifetime as well. Thank you everybody for joining us for Lit Up. If you want to get Lisa's book, you can go to either Amazon or you can go to Hay House's website and order it. Such an amazing book.